Good morning, Gate City.
Good morning.
Everybody having a good Thursday?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right, very good. It's time to start. Robert Gray, I believe, has our invocation this morning.
Yes. Pinch hitting for Chuck Alexander's a little under the weather, so remember Chuck this morning. Pray with me, please. Heavenly Father, we gather this morning in your presence, God, and we come with thanksgiving, and I'm so thankful for your grace and mercy, God, to your people that we do not deserve, God, but you gift to us, and we just thank you for that, God. We also, at the same time, we recognize hurt and pain, God, that's within our countries, within our world, and even within the walls of this room, God, at our very tables in the Rotary with our brothers and sisters, God, and we just recognize there's disease, illness, God, there's pain, there's suffering. We just pray that you meet those needs, God, and we recognize those who still are devastated from natural disaster, God. We just pray that you'll be with those and be with each of us, God. Walk with us today and every day. And pray that you'll bless this food, God. Help it to allow us to go and just serve someone else today in the true Rotary spirit and put others above ourselves. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Stand with me, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Things we think, say, and do.
Is it truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
All right, Steve, who's here? Steve's here.
Here it comes.
Visiting from Rotary, we've got Emily from Stavanger International in Norway. Lorraine Kingham is our speaker. And of course, Sally Milligan joining us once again. Thank you, Sally.
All right, that's it.
That's it.
Do we get normal? All right, Dale, did anybody get any older?
On November 1st, we have 2 birthdays to celebrate with the club. Dan Quinn and Dan Farley. Member anniversaries. Beth Sheffield will be celebrating her 5th anniversary with Gate City Rotary on the 31st of October. I'll be celebrating my 14th anniversary on the 31st of October. And Bridget Ruggiero will be celebrating on November 1st, her first, and so will Lisa Simpson.
All right, very good. Thank you. Y'all just want me to keep doing this. That's why the energy is so low. It's so low in the morning before we get to the feud. So you know what we got to do? We're going to play the feud. We're playing the feud. All right, so since he has his mouth full, this is going to be the Christensen family. Christensen family.
2 weeks ago.
Christensen family. And over here, got our newest member, the Fan family. Welcome back, Alex. Good to see you, buddy. All right, so Alex, I picked you because you're unfamiliar with the game, probably. We'll pick on you a little bit. All right, so to the Christensen family, are we going to play or pass?
Oh, we're going to play.
Oh, all right. So the Christensen family is ready to play.
Can we hear?
All right, Christensen family. Top 6 answers are on the board. Name a famous Martin. Name a famous Martin.
Last name Martin.
I didn't say last name. I said name a famous Martin. Top 6 answers are on the board.
Steve Martin.
Steve Martin, number 5. Good job. All right.
Work that way.
Chris, name a famous Martin. 3, 2, 1.
Martin Scorsese.
Scorsese.
Scorsese, yeah.
Either way. All right. Chrissy, name a famous Martin.
Martin
But you
Short.
can't get help here. You can't get help on this section.
Martin Short.
Martin Short, number 6 answer on the board. Good job. All right, we got 4 more answers. Dale, famous Martin.
Dean Martin.
Yes.
Dean Martin, number 3 answer. Good job. Good job. Erica, name a famous Martin.
Martin Luther King Jr.
Number 1 answer. Number 1 answer. Great job. Number 1 answer. All right, Albert. You got 1 strike on the board. 2 Martins left.
Purple.
Purple Martin.
Is there purple? All right, you got 2 strikes. No pressure at all. 2 strikes. Ricky. It's not a bad answer. Ricky Martin?
Yeah.
It's a bad answer. All right, family, you have a chance to steal. There are 2 answers left on the board. Y'all can get together, talk it out.
We're going with Billy Martin.
Yeah.
Baseball season, we're going with Billy Martin. No, Billy Martin. The Christensen family wins. Good job. Good job. Split them up.
Martin guitar.
All right, so we got Martin Lawrence, number 2 answer. Hey, Martin. And Martin Sheen. You left that one on the board. Martin Sheen. All right, let's go to announcements. Walt, did we do a football pool?
Yeah, got the ball. Very small pool this week. But from last week, I had to take off, had a kind of a tough case early, so I asked Guy to pick up all the football pools, and he only sent me 2, his and Chris's. And that backfired on him. Really, an anomaly this week for the first time ever. I don't think he's here. James Edwards, are you here? Well, he won the dud with 10 correct out of 20. He hit the 50. He got the flipping award, but probably exactly. He knew he had a bad week. That's a good point. So actually, with the second to the dud, unfortunately, was Guy.
Wait, I got a great story. I gave them to somebody else, and it pulled the phone out.
Congratulations. I like it.
It keeps on giving.
That's exactly right, buddy.
Who wants them?
Okay, other than that, we had a lot of great participation. Chip Person, 3rd place with 16. Second, Chrissy Hampton, out of nowhere, tied with Justin Plummer. With 17 correct out of 20. That's really awesome. That's good. In the tiebreaker, both of them picked Alabama. Chip, golly, man, picked Houston to beat Denver. Where are you?
Oh, well, I was in a hurry.
I don't think that explains it. But at any rate, Chrissy, you forgot to put a point total. Sorry to get you on a technicality, but you have to have a point. But on the other hand, Justin was only 5 off the point total. He picked Alabama to win 31-17. He was only 5 off to it. That's really pretty impressive. For that, you get a brand new sleeve of Pro V1s. How about that? That's a good prize. This is Chris. Congratulations to Scraper. Just in case your husband didn't get up there early to scrape off. That's donated by Darlene. And let's see. I think that's it. Yeah, they're on the table. If you don't have one, grab one from another table.
All right, very good. Chrissy, what's going on with the foundation dinner?
So we have 15 members registered right now. We will continue to take registrations through the 11th of November. So if you're interested in going, let me know. Just send me an email. The banquet is November the 17th. So I'll get another email out on that to let you know as a reminder again. Just hit me back. Let me know if you want to go. I'll get you registered up.
All right, very good. Thank you. All right, so I don't see Dale Hopkins, but I do know that the ringing of the bell sign-up sheet went out last night. Did everybody get it? All right, so The clock has officially started. The Buddy the Elf Challenge. Rotary, the Buddy the Elf, Buttery, yeah. The Buddy the Elf Challenge. If this club can fill every spot, now that's time slot. You don't need to double up every time slot, but if we can fill up every time slot in the next 2 weeks, I've already signed up for mine. I will do mine dressed as Buddy the Elf. This is in full Buddy regalia. Yellow tights, I got the coat, we've got the Buddy the hat, I've got a great wig, and so hopefully nobody will recognize me. But I will be out there as Buddy the Elf if you can get signed up in the next 2 weeks. So you're on the clock. 2 Thursdays from now, if we've filled up every slot, you guys win the bet. If not, you guys have to dress up as Buddy the Elf.
If we do it in 1 week, will you not dress up?
All right, so before we announce, before we do the pig stock announcements, I know we probably have a couple. Chip, come up here real quick.
Me?
Yes, sir. You.
We have a couple of chips, I didn't know.
Now go ahead and, who's here for the Hunka Hunka Burn and Rub team? Stand up if you're on the team. Okay, shift over here, stand up the line. All right, stand up if you're on the team. So Steve Wirtz was not able to be here today, but he dropped something off at the office, and he wanted to send the Hunka Hunka Burn and Rub team off with a little something to get your spirits up. And the genesis of what I'm about to hand you is, several years ago, if y'all haven't seen it, it's amazing. Chip has this gigantic cauldron, and everybody says you can't cook a pork butt on it. You just can't do it. Can't be done. But between Chip and Steve Wirtz, who came up with the Wirtz method, we can't disclose too much about that, but there's a specific method to cook on this thing. They've come up with an amazing way to cook pork butt. So Chip has been told that you can't do this. Well, pigs would fly before you.
I think that was used, actually.
Pigs would fly before you're able to cook a pork butt on the cauldron. So Steve Wirtz wanted to present this to the team. Take with you out there. All right, best of luck on Saturday.
All right, hey, thank you.
You guys get it done.
All right, we will.
So Dan and Chip, any announcements on pig stock?
Chip, what you got? Well, HHBR t-shirts are in. We've got it. We want everybody to come out Saturday and support us and help out. Dan Quinn tells me that we're within striking distance of raising enough money to win the People's Choice Award again, against all odds with bigger clubs and everything else. And I thought maybe one reason why we hadn't raised quite enough money this year to get this done is maybe people don't know exactly what Children of Vietnam is and what we're supporting with this. So I thought I would ask Dan to explain to us where the money goes and what it does with Children of Vietnam. Take it away, Dan.
Oh, okay. You guys have heard me talk about this a long time. First off, I just want to thank the club. This is the 4th year we did this. This started with just sort of a genesis of an idea from Gate City. We had 90 people the first year. We have 700 tickets out. I don't think we'll see 700 people, but I think we'll see 500 or 600 people. If you check the weather, it's 55 to 75 degrees with 0 chance of rain. So it's going to be a good afternoon. If you don't have a ticket already, it's something you weren't planning on coming, but something changes, just come on out. Some other clubs are using this as a recruiting event, so we can see new members from other clubs. Children of Vietnam. This is a global grant. This is the world's first Rotary global grant. We've got all these clubs participating in it. Our goal is to raise $158,000. Of that, we have to come up with $45,000 of it. Based on what we know already, we have $7,000 left over from pig stock last year. Airport Rotary gave us a $10,000 grant. So as we go in the door, we're already halfway there. This grant's going to fund about 100 children with severe disabilities. It's a wraparound service for these kids. It will change their lives and their families' lives forever. It will build houses for them. It will provide them educational opportunities. It will provide them some their caregivers training. When we're done with all this, the sustainability is the Vietnamese government takes us over and takes care of these children going forwards. We do it for 3 years and they get them for the rest of their lives. We've done this since 2007. It's a fantastic program. Mostly, I just want to tell everybody thank you for coming out. Thank you you guys have touched this in such an important way, and I'm just deeply appreciative. See you, Sam.
All right, well done. Yes, sir.
What will the money actually do in Vietnam?
What will it do? Well, that's something, if you're, just sort of as a side note, if you are a Paul Harris Society member and you would like to see your Paul Harris gift go towards this grant, just send me a note, because all that counts towards our People's Choice Award. So your Paul Harris Society money can go, as it usually does, but you can dedicate it to our grant as well. And if we had that in the club, that would probably tip us over the airports. So what the money does is, like I say, it goes to these 100 families, and it provides a complete wraparound service for them for 3 years. And these children, most of these children are affected by Agent Orange. There's severe disabilities. This is one of the most toxic places in the world by the where the Agent Orange was dumped at the end of the war around Da Nang's Air Base.
All right, very good. Any other announcements from the floor? All right, Buster, let's do some happy dollars.
Let's do some happy dollars.
You know, I might have, I went to Made Up at Crescent, and they were talking about pig stock, and I sort of goaded them a little bit. It got them, I was sort of sorry I said anything, but it got them pretty riled up, so we were going to need to step up here.
They've already been goaded.
You must have goaded them well, because they're afraid to come, they're going to cook at home and bring it later.
Well, we didn't announce it yesterday. Carrie and I celebrated our 25th anniversary. There we go. Of marriage, I might add. And we had previously goaded those guys over there, but this is for the Greensboro Club. Yesterday on Facebook, they put out an ad for people to come help them cook. They are 300-member club.
How much are they paying?
Yeah, how much? I don't know what we're going to do. You know, you never know about the pig. I mean, it could be great, it could be bad. But we got them on the run, that's all I got to say.
Subcontract.
This is to Dr. Guy for milk duds last week. I lost a filling first light here. First couple of milk duds, they were delicious. Thank you so much. I did note that those were supplied also by Adena. I think Mark might get in on it.
That's a good point.
The amazing thing is the brass of this guy, who just a moment ago said, "Do you like some milk?" There's something going on here.
I've got two. I joined Rotary in September of '93, and a month, little to my surprise, or well, much to my surprise, a month later, my son was born because he was premature. And so his birthday's today. He's 23 years old. For those of you, the older members of the club, when he was just a little baby, 23. So anyway, thank you for me, or for Susan actually. My other dollar is for kind of on the heels of all the work that Children in Vietnam is doing in Vietnam, and we got the work that Free the Kids is doing in Haiti. And I'm hopeful that Jim will follow up with a little bit of an announcement on just where we are on that. But I wanted to initiate the Gate City Rotary November Harry Kane Challenge. Now this is not just for guys, men, transgenders, whatever, you know, everybody, it's open for everybody, but we're going to have a November. Guys already got a jump on us here. Chris is a month and a half into it, but I don't know the details of it. But we're going to, you know, we're going to have a beer challenge. Cooper's already got one going. I think you got to be pretty fresh faced to get into this. Anyway, come out with the details later. But we're going to raise some money to boost a little bit. Can I give another dollar for Jim to say something?
Yeah, thanks for the challenge. I don't know about the November. That might not be a severe threat to my marriage. Just to update you a little bit, our club donations is somewhere around $2,300 from members at the moment. I think there's still a few to come in. I'm waiting to hear back from Terry Ball on Summit's members. Their club started out with a $10,000 match challenge. That's been lowered to $5,000, unfortunately, but the possible good news in that is that they've opened up their match, possibly, to other club members contributing. So our goal is to raise enough money to build one of those igloo-style homes for the boys. You know, they're gonna need somewhere in the area of 8 of them, cost about $20,000 apiece. If we can get to 20,000, enough to build one, that would be a great start. I know pig stock's going on right now. We'll get through that, and I'm glad to hear that all the tickets are sold. But we'll just keep pushing this along and see if we can get to that $20,000 level so that we can build the boys a new house that will be hurricane-proof.
Very good, thank you.
Okay, I hope I can tell this without messing it up. But I've got a kind of a quirky sense of humor. I really appreciate texting and email, and I missed the Monday's HHBR executive meeting. And so there's been some email exchanges back and forth as to what will be needed at Pig Stop and all this. And just trying to cut to the chase, I emailed Chip, and I said, Chip, can you suggest what I can bring? And he said, well, bring some plastic bags and some of your pies. So I write back and I go, Chip, would pumpkin be appropriate? And, you know, or do you have a preference? He says, no. He replies back, he says, no, black will be just fine. It's more readily available. I laughed.
It's hard to find those pumpkin colored bags.
Pumpkin spice bag.
They're hot right now.
They are.
Well, yesterday, Beth and I celebrated our 31st anniversary, and after several years, you know, it's kind of hard, especially for me, because I'm not very creative and gift-giving, but, you know, I finally thought of a really good gift, and so I got for her the first Cubs World Series victory in 71 years.
Very nice, very cool.
Hopefully we'll get 3 more.
Okay. Let's see, in 2002, my oldest son joined Cub Scouts. So my youngest son finished Cub Scouts this spring. So now I find out I'm going camping with the Cub Scouts. I don't know when this ends when you get into Boy Scouts. It just seems to be a revolving thing. But I got to give a happy dollar for my wife getting involved. And she's really, I gave her a brown shirt recently, and she has jumped in. She dove into Boy Scouts and is now the advancement chair. And I'm just real appreciative that she took some of the weight off of me. Very nice, very nice.
So my happy dollar is because this evening I'm going to be recognized by the Business Journal as one of the most influential people in trad. I just hope my husband listens.
My wife didn't win that.
It's a happy dollar for Tony, who allowed us to help with the project. We want to say thank you.
Oh, good deal. Did you have one, Kevin?
I have some too. I got 3, in fact.
Great.
One, I haven't seen the results of the project yet. So my first happy dollar was I'm back. I'm happy to be back because I missed 3 meetings in a row and succeeded in every Thursday to be in a different country. I was in Germany, in Canada, and I just came back yesterday from China. So I'm only physically here. Second is, because I'm moving around a lot, is I lost track with everybody I grew up with, like friends I grew up with, except for one friend I had from my high school days. And we know each other since we were around 14. And he and his wife visited us like 2 weeks ago for a weekend. So that was really cool because again, we haven't seen each other forever. And it was like we were back at being 14 or 16 again. So that was really nice. Third is talking about old friends. Many of you may remember our exchange student, Merit, the last girl who lived with us. She is in Colombia now. She graduated from high school and has a gap year and volunteers there for a year to work with handicapped children. It was really nice. And we still stay in contact a lot, and we decided to give her a Christmas present and fly her up here for the holidays, or just after Christmas. So she's going to be here.
This year we've got a golf story here. The first a big golf story has been about, a couple weeks ago I had an opportunity to play the Grandfather Mountain Country Club golf course. And so I want to tell you about one particular hole where I played. So it was a par 5, I hit a really nice tee shot, and then my second shot kind of went over in the woods a little bit. But I wasn't in the woods, I was in the trees. So I figured I really hit a good shot. I could put it on the green, and there was a tree about 75 feet in front of me, so I really made some incredible contact. And the ball hit that tree, like right in the middle. When it hit the tree, it bounced and went like 20 yards behind me. But unfortunately, that's not the end of the story. So I just took the same club, walked back 20 yards, and I was still over those trees a little bit, and I hit another great shot, just crushed it, but it hit another tree. And when it hit the tree, it came back, it bounced one time, I reached out, caught it on the first hop, and I just got in the car and went to the next one.
Golf is Well, I got a couple of, one is for my daughter Audrey, who, her and her husband are in town from Vienna for a couple of weeks. We're going to get to celebrate her birthday. And last week was my 37th wedding anniversary. So I decided to sit home and drink coffee with my wife instead of spending it with y'all. So, which was a great idea because, Grandpappy, he wasn't always the greatest at, figuring out the marriage relationship. And one day, Grandma decided that she was mad at him. She said, I'm just going to give him the silent treatment. So a week goes by, and they're sitting on the couch, and Grandpappy says, we've really been getting along well lately.
All the guys understand that. All right, Danny, you want to introduce our guest for us?
I'd love to.
All right.
Today we have Lorraine Kingham coming in to speak about all things, I'd say, exercise, health, wellness. Lorraine studied in England. She's from England. She's a netballer, if I get that right. She's been very active in physiology, is a physiotherapist, I should say, and now she's been doing this for 25 years, and she has a lot of things to share. On a personal note, I found Lorraine through a referral, and my goal last year was to be back on the ski slopes snowboarding, and I was a wreck last year. So my friend said, you need to go see her, and after a handful of treatments, I loosened up, and she broke up scar tissue that's been keeping me from standing erect and touching my toes and everything else. And sure, I spent 2 glorious days at Breckenridge last year around Christmas time, and it's been all downhill since then. It's time to go back to get a tune-up from her. But other than that, I just want to welcome Lorraine and tell us what you have.
Thank you, Danny. And can everybody hear me? Okay. There's an accent, as you can hear. I've managed to hang on to it by my grim fingernails. For the last 22 years, I've actually been in America. I came for a year, but you know how life can get out of hand and off track sometimes, and that's sort of what happened to me. I came over to be a traveling physical therapist. I actually had graduated from physiotherapy school in London from St. Thomas's Hospital back in 1991, and spent a couple of years in London working and sort of making my bones, as you do. And then I came to America as a traveling physical therapist to travel and work and get work experience and just get a different sense of how things work. So I really came from a socialized medicine background, came to America, worked in a variety of different places and settings, and then finally started my own business about 11 years ago, which is BritPT. So I've been right here in town in Greensboro for 20 years. I've had a lot of great support from the community here. I've never really formally marketed. I like to do things like this, where you come in and meet groups of people more intimately. So, but I have a little bit of a different take on physiotherapy. The most similar thing would be physical therapy, but actually a physiotherapist is really a blend between a physical therapist, a chiropractor, and a massage therapist. We're extremely manual, and my office is not based around a gym. It's actually treatment rooms that we do one-on-one therapy with the patients, and pain is my specialty. And actually, I like to really work with things that even are a little bit more complicated, but we do everything from triathletes to grandparents who just want to get on the floor and spend quality time with their grandchildren, so, and everything in between. First thing I want to do is to wake you all up a little bit. So I have tennis balls. So I don't know if somebody can help me, Danny. I don't know if you could maybe help pass those around or give them to tables. If you can all grab a tennis ball when they come around, and then I'll tell you what to do with them in just a moment. One of the biggest things that we get into is that, as you all probably know, many of the work we do all day is having to sit. We're either sitting at computers, which is the majority of people, or we are in cars, traveling, planes, flying around. But there's just an inordinate amount of sitting. And the problem with the human body is that it adapts to what we do. And when you're sitting, as you're sitting right now, you may feel like this is starting to happen. That your head just starts to drop down because we drop into a C shape. This is what gravity does. It pushes down on us, and we gradually sink into it, and we lose our low back curve when we do that. So that can start to set you up for various issues, but they're silent for a long, long, long time. And very often a patient will come and say to me, it's like, I don't know what's happened. I was just working in the garden this weekend, and suddenly I threw my back out. But often when I look at them, the things I'm seeing, it was a last straw incident. The things that led them to become that way or set them up to be vulnerable for that injury were happening every day in the office or every day in the car. So the other factor too about our lifestyles now is that we're on. There's just 100 things happening. There's so much incoming because we have access to it through computers really, and all the technology that we have now. If you'd like to put we can put a strap around at each table too. Sorry, Danny, I didn't say that. But maybe if we could put one strap at each table, that would be good. Sorry.
That worked out.
I know, I rolled them up and put them in there. But anyway, as a result of the technology, there's always incoming. It never stops. It's relentless. And so the thing is that our nervous systems actually rev up to meet the demand. So we're constantly sort of revving higher than we need to, really at rest, which is what we're doing when we're sitting, essentially. So the problem is one, you've got a C-shaped posture. Secondly, you're ready for action. And the effect on the muscular system is that it tightens up and it stays really tight. And that's sort of a pivotal or integral part to why people start to develop pains. Has anybody ever heard of trigger points? Yes, you've heard that term. All right, so I'm going to show you that you've probably got one or two hiding away somewhere. So I'd like you to take your tennis ball and pop it under your right upper third of your hamstring, which is, behind the leg right here. And there you go. Oh, thank you. Right here. And then if you just kind of shift around it a little bit, and you feel it stops you breathing or makes you jump a little bit, you may need to move it around to find the spots, but I guarantee you're going to find some tender spots in there. So these are trigger points, tight places in the muscle. Tight places in the muscle. When trigger points get really lively, they will broadcast information away or refer information away from where they start. So if your hamstring is really tight, it's possible that it can actually run all the way down to the foot. Be careful. Yeah, if we've got any athletes in here in particular, it may well be that I think somebody was saying he ran a marathon recently. It may be that you've got a little more than others, but the sitting position is enough to tighten up the hamstrings and develop trigger points. If you like to put the... So when I look at somebody, it doesn't matter what they're coming in for or who they are or the age or anything, the plumb line is the great equalizer. And I literally have a plumb bob hanging from a string in my rooms where I do evaluations, and every single person, that is the first thing after I hear the story of what's happened to somebody, I'm like, well, let me look at you and let me see what your body is telling me about what is going on with you. Because sometimes mechanically or structurally, the problem can be going on in a different place than where it shows up. And that can be a bit of an issue, because if you're going in to get massage therapy, for instance, it may well be that they work and work and work on the area that's painful, but it may be that there's actually something silent that's driving that pain. So the beauty of the plumb line, and then of course the consequent evaluation I do, looking at range of motion, I screen neurology, and then I do a lot of palpation. I mean, everybody who comes to see me is always a little surprised, and I sort of hate that, because the first thing I'm saying is, right, okay, I need you to, you know, get down to your shorts or your running gear, or people are undressed when they come to see me for the evaluation, because I need to have a look at what's going on with their bodies. And people act a little coy, and it's sad, because it makes me think, well, people don't do enough undressing in the doctor's offices, for instance, because they've often been to various people before they come to me, but often they haven't been completely undressed and really examined, and sometimes the problem is just glaring at you. You can just really see. So just getting people disrobed, and I'll always say, well, you know, I don't even notice these things. I'm European. We don't tend to think about that stuff in the same way. But of course, you want to make people comfortable. But they're coming to me because they have a problem. So when I'm looking at somebody, I'm really looking at how does the plumb line split the body, and I'm really looking for a pretty good 50-50 split. Almost nobody has it when they first come. Because when you have that 50-50 split, all your muscles are the right length and the right strength to hold you in the most efficient posture upright against gravity, and it means there's a minimal amount of tug of war between the different muscle groups to get upright, because that takes effort. And when your abdominal wall, for instance, one of the big things that we really underestimate is how short the abdominal wall becomes through sitting all day. And then if you go to the gym, what's the big drive in our society? What has everybody got? If you do one exercise, what is it? Yes, but abs is what I was hearing. So, and what's the quickest way to do abs, or what's the way that everybody thinks of for doing abs? Crunches. Okay, so the thing is, and now we're getting smarter about it, and doing core elongation and planks, but the thing is that people traditionally did crunches. And the thing is if you sit all day like this and get a short abdominal wall, your abdominal wall actually shortens on a more permanent scale. And your rib cage comes down closer to your pubic bone, and it fixes. And it means that when you then stand up, you actually end up doing this. So you're now short here and here at the same time. And that's an extremely compressive situation. So if you'd like to roll forward for me, this is where we're looking at the sitting posture, and there's various things that you can look at height-wise, but mostly what you want to try to remember is the 90 degrees. You really want a plumb bob to drop down through the top of your head, down through your hips, so that your shoulder is on that line, your ear is on that line, your hips are on that line. And then about 90 degrees, if not a little bit shy with the seat base. And then your feet can be a little bit shy, coming out a little bit of a wider angle than 90 degrees for the feet. This step actually seems to be very helpful for some people, mainly because people will come and say to me, I have to sit all day, I just have to do it. What's the greatest chair I can get? And the thing is that there's no one chair, because most people will get a chair, and then they're so sucked into the computer, they end up here. So what does it matter? You could be on a piano stool. So I'm not a huge proponent of getting super fancy, expensive chairs. I think what helps people more is if you just make sure you're sitting back in the support that you actually have in your chair. And actually that's what the step stool will do, or a little elevation of some kind. It will actually push you back into using the back of the chair. But you do have to watch that perching habit, because it just erases any real benefit of the chair or any kind of fancy components to your chair. Another thing I'll say about the chair here that I have found is that where it's got the armrest there, they're calling it the elbow rest. What I find with those is that often they're in the way of getting you underneath the desk. So you may want to take them off or drop them so that you can really scoot right under the desk to the point where you're almost up against it and you have to push into the back of the chair to then key or use your mouse. So there's just some simple things that you may think of to change at your desk currently if you're having issues. But the biggest thing of all is that you're not built to be static. The human body absolutely depends on movement. It will never be a goal of mine if a patient says to me, I'm working on my PhD dissertation, I just need to sit. It's never going to be my goal to have you sit for 2 hours. 45 minutes is a good max. It's an absolute max. I recommend a lot of people drink water during the day, and then if you do that, you'll have to get up and go to the bathroom. It will just take care of itself. So that's just one of those built-in things that's good and good on both sides of things, if you like to. So a little bit of what we were talking about, what I find on the plumb line all the time is that form follows function. If you are in a habit of standing on your left leg all the time, there's a really good chance when I get you on my string that you're going to end up like that. And I can just see it. But it means that there's been certain muscles on the inside leg here that have just shortened over time because of the habit. And it's actually your body's way of creating efficiency so that you don't have to use the effort to go over here. It's recognizing that you keep doing this. And just like when you learn to drive, we start to just plug in pathways. This is what I do and they make it automatic. But in the human body, these compensations are not necessarily helpful. They start to work against us if we get fixed into them, and then we can't come out of it anymore. That's when there are problems, because it starts to add compressive forces. And truly, it's only the soft tissue that's causing that. It's just adaptation. It will happen as a result of habits, obviously because of pain. I mean, even something as an ingrown toenail, if anybody's had one, you don't want to stand on that foot. You're going to be on the other foot. But when you've had a significant issue, maybe you've been in a boot or you've been on crutches, you will make compensations in the way that you walk. And unless after you've got through that episode of the injury and all the crutches are taken away and you don't have pain, that's the time actually to get looked at again and make sure that you're back in a centered position. For my athletes, this is really critical. This is a way that I keep them out of pain during their seasons as much as possible, because once they start pulling off in one direction or another and they start tightening up, it changes things really fast, and because of the amount of pounding and repetition they put into their bodies on such a regular basis, it can really start to make certain places extremely vulnerable to injury. This is just a couple of pictures. You can see, I don't know if anybody's used to looking at x-rays, but here is a low back, lumbar spine. It's the curve that we're supposed to have, but this one is a little bit exaggerated. It's actually hyperlordosis. People get too arched in their back sometimes. But actually on this x-ray, what you can see particularly lower is there's some really nice spaces between the square blocks, and then you see a nice space, and that's where the disc would be. And we like having spaces in the body, and a lot of what I feel, I mean, in the 25 years I've been working, I've done a lot of different, I've done a couple of degrees and a couple more really intense certifications. And I have a lot of really fancy words for describing what it is I do and how I do it. But now I really feel like what I do is just create space. If I can identify exactly where you're lacking space and give you a couple of millimeters in the exact right location, then you're going to be feeling a lot better really pretty quickly. So the whole clue is to just figure out where I've got to go and then create the space right there. This is a scary spine. You can still see some spaces, but actually if you look, the squares are not pure squares, they're kind of lipping out to the sides. And what that means is that this spine is actually trying to fuse itself. These are called osteophytes or bone spurs. And bone spurs are fine unless they grow into the space. They don't hurt themselves, but if they grow into the way of, for instance, a nerve root, if anybody's had sciatic pain or a radicular pain going down their arms or legs, these are the kind of things, if they grow into the spaces to the side of the spine, that will cause that kind of irritation to the nerve. This is a little more in spinal stenosis. Anybody heard that term? Very common term. It just means there's a narrowing. So this is a side view of a spine in that curve that we just looked at, and the yellow structure is the spinal cord. So it's possible, and actually if you go to the next slide, for that spinal canal, we just now do a cross section, and you can see where it's starting to narrow on the image to the right, and it's exactly like a plumbing pipe that has a lime scale growing in it. That is how the human spinal canal can grow. Again, it narrows because of bulging ligaments, it calcifies, you get bony growth, and all of that kind of thing just sort of gets in the way, and in doing so it starts to compress sensitive structures like the nerve roots. And so spinal stenosis just means narrowing, and narrowing onto the nerve roots or the spinal cord, which will give symptoms usually down the legs or down the arms. This is just a picture of the neck. The disc spaces here are tiny anyway. The nerves always look so thick and huge to me compared to the actual spaces that they come out of. But if this is to cure anybody that does this stretch where they go round like this and crack their necks, there's a lot of nerve sensitive structures there, and those little tiny bony prominences can very easily get in the way, if you've got some little outgrowths. So when you're doing neck stretches, really do them side to side and back and front. Just break down the movements and do everything slowly. Be extremely nurturing to your neck, let's say. That's good self-preservation. As far as body type, this is just to give you the idea that when I'm looking at you, I'm considering you in some different ways. But basically, we all came in genetically with a program that we tend to put on either muscle bulk, or we have more muscle definition, or we really don't put on a lot of muscle bulk at all. And there are vulnerabilities common to all of these types. To the left, people are much more restrictive and inflexible. In the middle, actually always, there can be that inflexibility that sets people up for injury. The people on the right, and it's interesting, the ectomorph is the long, lean sort of model type. If you think of Keira Knightley, she's a perfect ectomorph. But she's very long and lean and gangly. And I don't know if anybody saw a historic movie called The Duchess. She was wearing these huge wigs and hats, and she has this very long, thin neck. And actually, she was in PT for the entire shoot for that movie because her neck couldn't hold up the weight of the wigs. And they actually created some sort of cage that they could put the wigs and the hat on that she could stand back into to shoot some of the scenes where she was standing still, which is interesting. But each body type sets you up for different types of problems. So we consider that too, and that's something that's not typically considered. Can we move on from there? So just to give you the idea again that it's possible to have too much flexibility in your spine. That's more typical in the ectomorphs we just saw. What we're most familiar with is when you're too tight. That's what most people get. And again, if you want to take your tennis ball and just put it behind your back, and not on your spine, make sure it's to one side or the other of your spine. Tennis balls are not helpful when you put them on the bones. And then just kind of move around a little bit, get some pressure. You can feel one side compared to the other. But this is your quadratus lumborum. It's a huge muscle. I treat it all day long for various different ailments for people. So this is something to stay in. So stretching is something we're all told that we should do. It elongates those tight muscles. Again, we don't want to become C-shaped. So it's really important that we do things where you elongate your body and do the exact opposite, which is this motion. So if you're working all day and you're sitting, and then you're like, right, I'm going to the gym for an hour, please don't sit on the bike if you don't have to. I mean, it's much better if you can get onto an elliptical or the treadmill or do something where you're extending your body. You need to vary the positions that you're in. That's really, really important. Just some tips there on how you can work with your breathing is an amazing way to really get your stretches to release. And you should be holding your stretches. Anybody know how long they're saying you should hold stretches these days? We've really got away from the 10 seconds, 10 reps thing. It's more like 2 to 3 reps, but hold it for 30 to 60 seconds if you're doing a static stretch. Now the athletes will know you're working out and doing some sort of cardiovascular movement first of all, and then you might go into a little bit of static stretching. For the rest of us though, that works pretty well most of the time, is to just do some gentle static stretches. So we can, if you want to, you've been working the ball under the, how's everybody's time actually? Oh, we're right at it. Does anybody have any questions? We can skip just to that. Yes?
You're talking about chairs. What about sitting on a ball?
You know, I think the sitting on the ball, especially because you can get the bases for them now, I think that can be a good thing, but you just have to recognize the fact that that's work. It's, if you go from I'm sitting on a chair all day to now I'm sitting on a ball, it's really like running a marathon with no training. You're going to fatigue and you're still going to slump. So I think the thing to do is to use it for short periods and build up, or maybe use it for 2 periods of an hour a day, something like that, which is not necessarily the most convenient, but I think you have to think about building up, because you can sit and slump on a ball just as well as you can slump in a chair. Bouncing up and down on it or shifting side to side, that will help keep you sitting upright. Yes?
What about stand-up desks?
I think they're great. There's a really nice version on the market right now, the Very Desk. I think it's been around a long time. I've got clients who've had them for years. I think they're in around the $300 sort of zone. They're very convenient. They just have 2 settings, up and down. But I'm getting really great feedback from them. But thank you for listening. There's cards of mine on the table if anybody would like it. I work with aches and pains and right here on Market Street in Holden. If ever I can help anyone, please let me know. I did have a handout of stretches. I was thinking we would have time to do that. But if anybody would like that, just email me and I'll be happy to email you the PDF of that. So it's just simple stretches you can do around the office. And you're welcome to keep your tennis balls.